Alright, for my week 4 collection of ideas, I definitely had the heaviest week yet. I had 7 independent assignments plus then my assignment about my book, that dialectual journal, and that once again went really well. I'm really enjoying The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, and it's really expanding my view of capitalism in literature, and it's showing that countless times that capitalism is most definitely a negative force that authors use to really create conflicts within their story, and it's undeniable that this will probably be the central idea of my research paper. So that dialectual journal, as much as I dislike doing it every week, is definitely turning out to be one of the foundations of my paper and really strengthening my ideas. It made it so much easier to write about my thesis and my introduction yesterday because of it. But otherwise, for those other 6 or 7 assignments, it was across all the different types of assignments, whether it was poems or the essays and the articles or the others. But it was really my other assignments this week that I actually saw my view of capitalism and actually the other people's perspectives on capitalism kind of expand. For the one, I watched an Occupy Wall Street YouTube video, which I knew going into it would probably be quite brutal, especially with the police and the retaliation of the people, especially in areas like Baltimore and Washington, D.C., and even in New York. And watching it, I really got a perspective that a large majority of the American population dislikes capitalism and all of its economic foundations. The YouTube video was definitely biased, and my method of analyzing it was to look at what it was saying and to kind of write a reflection on it. And it really helped me to realize that, a lot of people take capitalism out of proportion. Like, I read a poem this week that looked at capitalism and was like, oh, it's the best economic system, I'm so grateful for it. And then another one's like, oh, it's the absolute worst. So in my paper, I decided I wanted to take like a really moderate view where I'm willing to accept that there are going to be authors that reference that it's good, but they are far fewer in number than authors that will reference how bad capitalism is within literature. Kind of as a response to the Occupy Wall Street, I listened to a song and then read the lyrics to a song that specifically focused on how sometimes capitalists and economics people and people who are really wealthy are tired of hearing the smaller masses complain. And this really made me realize that this is definitely a wealth gap and a divide between American society, not only within literature but also within society today. And my final other assignment was actually using capitalism quotes. And I looked at like a good 8 pages of quotations about capitalism, just reading through them. I wrote a lesson plan where I had students actually analyze like the meaning of the capitalistic quotes, and I found a quote that was really strong to begin my paper with, and it was a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, where he talks about the positive view of capitalism. And him being an author, I assumed that this would help me kind of refute the fact that capitalism is not seen as a strong point and a strong positive force within literature, but instead a negative one. So as I move on to looking at my research paper, I only have one single question, and that is kind of like how long I'm allowed to spend on each source, because I know with my book I would like to spend like 3 or 4 paragraphs talking about the capitalism in there, but with other things like the poems or the quotes, I'm only going to spend a sentence or 2. Otherwise, this week was really, really a strong week for me, and I really learned a lot.